Hey photographers, if the Fujifilm X-T5 just landed under your tree or on your desk, let me share a few tips to help you get started. So full disclosure, I don't work for Fujifilm. They haven't paid me. They didn't suggest this topic. They didn't see either the script or the video before posting. Now, after turning the camera on, I press the menu key, and then I take my glasses off and adjust the diopter. A little dial to the left of the viewfinder. Lots of range there to my prescription. This video assumes that you're starting with a new camera. Now, otherwise, you might like to reset the camera to its defaults. Scroll down the menu to Setup. Select User Setting. Scroll down to Reset. Go right to Initialize. Then, after setting the date and the time, you'll be invited to install the Fujifilm Camera Remote app on your phone. Now, I recommend you do that, not only because it provides location information, works as a remote, and transfers images from camera to phone, but because it will alert you to camera firmware updates and install them directly from the phone. No computer required. Now, by default, you don't see the image you've just taken. Screen settings, screen 1, last option, image disp, I use 1.5. That's enough to confirm I've got the image I wanted. The setup screen's last option, Save Data Setup, lets you configure what goes where when you're using two SD cards. You can go sequential, dual record for backup, or separate JPEG and RAW. With sequential, you can select which card is used for stills, but to configure video to record on the other card, go to Video Settings. Options are sequential with 1 or 2 first, and dual recording. Why is this so different and not integrated into the still settings? Back to Save Data Settings, where you can add author and copyright information. Now, incidentally, this is one of the few things that's not reset when you reinitialize. Unlike many, Fujifilm's default is JPEG fine, with the highest resolution 3:2 aspect, recording as many pixels as possible. Although it's not as widely used or accepted yet, the high-efficiency format is available, as is RAW, but only combined with JPEG. However, in playback, HEF can be saved as JPEGs, and using RAW conversion, RAW images can be saved as HEF. There's one more advantage to RAW, but let's configure our image quality settings first. Press the left side of the control pad to select your favorite film sim. If you can't pick a favorite, on Shooting Settings, use Drive Setting, then Bracket Setting, and Film Simulation Bracket to select your 3 favorites. Set the drive dial to Bracket, and then Snap. You'll hear the camera take 3 exposures, 1 for each sim. Then you can pick later. There are more settings to enhance color or smooth skin, but the one I set is derange priority, and I set it to strong. And let me go back to playback, RAW conversion, and show you why. If you do not use a setting like dynamic range, derange priority, or tone curve while shooting, you won't be able to add it later. But if you do use these settings, you will be able to undo later. So, with our preferred settings configured, the last option on screen 3 of the image quality menu saves those to memory. Once saved, they can be named and edited. The editor gives you a view of all of the settings that are saved in a custom set. Note that the dimmed selections are settings that are either not available in the current configuration. Derange priority suppresses dynamic range and tone curve. And drive settings are only available if the drive collar is in the right position. And in general, none of the physical control settings, aperture, shutter, ISO, focus mode can be saved. Once set, the custom setting is selected using the Q menu, where the non-configurable top left option displays and selects Turn the Rear Dial the custom settings. One option to be aware of on screen 4, Auto Update, is enabled by default. I might prefer to have that off. Wish that option was available per custom setting. Move the joystick to confirm that the camera focus is in single point with the default size. If your habit is focus and compose, you're set, and you can use the joystick to move the focus point. But I turn the front dial to wide focus size, which I find slightly more useful for the X-T5's large focus coverage area. Auto detection is very good. So by default, Face Eye Detect is off, but that setting is the default for the top side key beside the shutter. Remember that. Turning Face Eye on means focus defaults to faces and identifies eyes instead of the closest subject. You may need to switch in and out of that mode when it's distracted by faces that are not your intended subject. So, in my review, I complained that the exposure compensation dial doesn't have a lock. But here's a very interesting workaround that JazzFan74, a member of my channel, shared with me. It's a little complicated. On button dial settings, scroll down to the last option, Lock, on screen 3. Use Function Selection and select Exp Compensation. Then scroll down and deselect the Q menu, otherwise it will lock too. Use Lock Setting to select Selected Function. The lock icon, screen right, shows something is locked. Then to unlock, hold down the menu key until it turns off. Hold it down again to turn it back on. Thanks, JazzFan. Appreciated. Now, if you only have Fujifilm lenses, you're set. But if you're using third-party or adapted lenses, use button dial settings and turn Shoot Without Lens on. As you get more familiar with the camera, you'll realize which of the on-screen icons are important to you. But as a starting point, Screen Settings Screen 3 has Disp Custom Setting. I turn on the histogram and highlight Alert, both of which help guide me when setting the exposure. There are 5 screens of options here to display the information most useful to you. And while you're here, there's an option to display the on-screen exposure indicators in a larger font. But beware, that alternate display contains fewer of the other icons. For instance, here, the lock icon and the one that indicates external power is connected is gone. Also, have a look at the button dial settings function setting options. Now, first, because not all of the keys are labeled, and this will let you know what the defaults are. Then, when you're more familiar, you'll be able to decide which of the 11 custom keys and 4 swipe motions suit your workflow from the 10 screens of features. That brings us to video, because although video is available while the camera's in stills mode, that requires you to assign a function key to start recording. That's not a default setting. Video recording release is on screen 5. It just seems easier to switch to video mode and use the shutter release to start and stop recording. Anyway, the menu changes and has way more video options than the limited settings available in stills mode. And unlike stills, the video default settings are not at the maximum. 4K HQ resolution setting is, but the H.264 codec 8-bit 420 isn't. Neither is the 100 megabit recording rate. Now, although there are some compatibility issues with older equipment, I'd recommend switching to the H.265 codec, long GOP for general recording with 200 megabits. That records at 422 and 10-bit. If you're editing, all intra, which also switches to the camera's highest data rate, 360 megabits, and that's the setting I used to record the review I posted. But before recording video, let's adjust a few settings. Use the screen right video camera icon to activate movie-optimized control. This has two benefits. First, it makes exposure settings for video independent from stills. And secondly, because all of the settings are touch on screen, you no longer need the noisy, clicky physical controls to change aperture, shutter, or ISO. On the sound setup, there's a new sound option that confirms recording has started and stopped. One beep when it starts, two when it stops. I find that helpful. I won't get into the benefits or the challenges of using F-Log, but even if you're not using it, it can't hurt to change the screen setting on page 2 for the F-Log View Assist. So then, when you're using F-Log, screen won't look so washed out. No effect when you're not using F-Log. I'd also suggest on power management, auto power off, set the temperature to high. Yes, the camera will feel a little warmer, but it's some insurance against accidental overheating interruptions. Then turn on the flickerless shutter speed. You may have to reset it to 1/60th. That enables fine adjustments in shutter duration to the decimal point. Very handy when the lighting in a scene causes the image to flicker. And activate the new manual focus assist, the focus meter. Too early to say whether I love it, but it's worth trying. It appears when you switch to manual focus. And then change one focus setting, the AF mode, from multi, which is fully automatic, to area, which allows you to guide the focus, either with the joystick or touch. When you get more familiar, you'll want to adjust the Q menu, which has independent settings for both stills and video. You may look for this under Screen Options, but it's a button dial setting. And there are more settings here than you might realize, like data rate. Well, that's all I've got. If you have settings that you've changed from the defaults, please share them in the comments. I was thankful for JazzFan74's tip. I'd love to read yours. And as always, this video and my channel are not sponsored by any vendor or manufacturer. My sponsors are my members, who've joined to enable me to refuse sponsorships that require me to read ads and to turn off YouTube's ad interruptions. This camera is on loan from Fujifilm Canada, who didn't pay me, suggest this topic, or see the script or video before posting. And I will read and reply to all of your tips, relevant questions, and civil comments. Thanks for finding the time to watch today. Stay safe.